Medbricks Webcast is a new kind of healthcare media channel to break the silo mentality and foster interdisciplinary thinking. Our mission is to fill that gap and to create a curiosity through different lenses, tapping the passion that guided the historical figures in medicine and bringing present-day groundbreaking research to the front lines. We interview physicians and leaders in the industry about present-day healthcare challenges on our live programming. Welcome to the Medbricks Webcast. This is Raman Anam Raju. I'm the host. I'm not Albert Einstein, but I'm pretty good. So we have a very great program today. We have a very distinguished guest, Dr. Krishna Tangella. He is a professor of pathology, clinical pathology, and then also he is a DovMed. He is a founder of a DovMed, a medical informative website. It's a very interesting site. It has a wealth of information about the diseases, about the people. You can interact with it. He's going to talk about that in a few minutes. But after that, I'm going to present for you today that everybody is talking about ChatGPT. So I'm going to talk about a little bit about ChatGPT. What are the restrictions? What are the things that can shake the? It may not able to do all the full functionality as the ChatGPT to simulate as 100% like a human being. So a lot of people are claiming that ChatGPT is going to be like a human almost, but it's not possible. There is a mathematical physics restriction on it, scientific restriction on it. I will explain to you that one in a minute. But ChatGPT is very good, but it is not going to be human capabilities. That's I can tell you. There is a lot of things that is mathematically is not possible. That I am going to explain to you today in my show. But before that, we have a very good and distinguished guest, Dr. Krish Tangella, a great friend of mine, and he's been a frequent guest for us. He is a clinical pathology. He's going to talk about today something about this is drug reactions and then genetic testing. That what do you do to find out what is how we can prevent how you can do the treatments and administer the drugs with when you're having a side effects. Let us talk with him. Dr. Krish Tangella, welcome to the Medbricks Webcast.
Thank you, Ramana, for having me. Always fun to be on your show and listening to your wisdom, and I learn a lot from you.
Oh, thank you. I'm honored. Tell me, Dr. Tangella, what is so you're a clinical just give us a background. Some people who are joining, you can give us some of your background, that your professional background, personal and professional background.
Sure. So I'm a board certified pathologist, both anatomic and clinical pathologist. What a pathologist does is a physician who diagnoses tissue biopsies. We diagnose a variety of different cancers. We test the cancers for various treatments that can be given to the patients, various treatments that should be avoided. We give data on how bad the cancer is, prognostic data, and predictive data. And on top of that, as a clinical pathologist, we usually manage hospital and clinical laboratories in large institutions. We make sure the lab tests are reliable and accurate for clinicians to input the data into their clinical routine. So a pathologist does both anatomic pathology work and clinical pathologist work generally. There's some pathologists who do anatomic or clinical also, but I do both.
So what is a brief, give us some brief description of what the cancer diagnosis, what process a pathologist go through. If you give a few steps on that one would be.
Sure. So anytime a physician, an oncologist, or a primary care doctor suspects that you might have potentially a cancer, um, the first thing, one among other diagnostic tests, uh, the most critical test is a tissue biopsy. And the tissue biopsy is performed by a surgeon or a radiologist, um, or any proceduralist. Um, and once they take the tissue out of the body, they send it to the laboratory. And once it comes to the laboratory, we examine the tissue um, macroscopically, not under a microscope. That's called microscopically. Macroscopically, we document the size of the tissue, the shape of the tissue, the color of the tissue, and the orientation of the tissue if provided. And then we document that in the pathology report. And then we take um, sections of the tissue submitted and put them in little tiny little cassettes, and and this cassettes gets processed anywhere between 6 hours to 12 hours, depending on the size of the tissues, type of the processor, and and then the technician uh, pulls out this cassette from these processors and embeds them in little paraffin blocks. And then the histotechnologist cut very thin slice, usually 3 to 4 microns thick, 3 to 4 microns thick sections onto a glass slide that are then stained using uh, eosin and hematoxylin stain, and then it comes to the pathologist for a tissue diagnosis. The pathologist examines the slide under the microscope and then and um, dictates a report, and that's how a and many situations, especially if it's a cancer, the pathologist additionally um, diagnoses does diagnostic work, looking at how bad the cancer is, what type of cancer it is, and then we do predictive matter, diagnostic markers on it. We look for targets which the oncologist can use to treat against the cancer, which is something that's very new, um, and it's evolving very rapidly. When I say it's new, I'm talking about in the last 15 years. Um, and it's very exciting, and also sometimes we test for targets which patients may not have, and because of that, unnecessary chemotherapy may be avoided for the patients. This And we can also do additional molecular studies, Ramana, where we can look for some gene mutations that
Yes.
have occurred causing cancer, which again could be a target against which chemotherapy may be given. So, very exciting to be part of field of pathology, to see all this medical innovation and medical development.
So you're the backbone of the in the for the cancer diagnosis and treatment side of it. You're the people don't know about pathologists. They are behind the scenes directors. But you do macroscopic. You said that you do macroscopic study, and then you do genetic study. Then you do comprehensive, put together a plan, and then give it to the radiology, radiation oncologist, or hematologist, whoever is in concern about that patient.
Yes.
Is that right? In
Yes. So you're correct. Pathologists they form the backbone of medicine. Uh, Almost 80% of the patient's medical record is generated in a laboratory under the guidance and supervision of a pathologist. So we play a very critical role, and patients don't see us, and so we are kind of in the background. A lot of pathologists prefer probably being in the background and doing some significant work that impacts the patients.
So what is the once that is done? that is not the end of the story for that cancer treatment. You're still participating in the entire process, because that you said that some of the things that probably drug reactions and all those things. Can you expand on that one, Dr. Tangella?
Sure, sure. So, 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 not necessarily in the context of cancer, but in general,
Yeah.
um, the data shows that anybody who is above 55 years in US consumes like 7 pills, I believe, you know, different pills for a variety of different reasons. And these pills could be for diabetes, they could be for hypertension, this could be for chronic disorders. There are over 65 million individuals in US with chronic disorders for which they may be on medications for. And the point I was talking to you earlier was that these medications that are given um, act differently in different individuals. Yes, a molecule or a drug is approved by FDA, which is developed by a pharmaceutical company. There's phase 1 trials, phase 2 trials, phase 3 trials, and and they look for reactions during clinical trials. But a vast amount of data does start accumulating once the drug is approved and is being used in the patient population. And when that happens, a variety of factors come into play. When you take any medication, it is important to know some factors, such as what does the drug do to the body? That's called pharmacokinetics. What does the drug, what does the body does to the drug? That's pharmacodynamics. And as part of what drug does to your body and what your drug body does to your drug, is that's where the interaction occurs, right? And one of the ways that to look at what your body does to the drug depends on your genetics. It depends on how the drug is metabolized in the body, how it is metabolized in liver, how it is, how it is excreted or disposed of in the kidney. Um, so people don't realize this, but when a drug is taken, the body individuals of different genetics um, interact with the drug differently, and specifically there is now testing that one can do called ADR testing, which is a genetic testing for adverse drug reactions for certain medications. And based on your biologic pathways, we can determine which drugs may cause toxicity or gives you side effects, which drugs are probably safer for you, depending on the kind of enzymes that you have in the body. And also based on that, you can alter the dosage, which is extremely important. And more importantly, how two drugs interact with each other may be vitally determined by the enzymes that you have in the body. Some drugs enhance the efficacy and the effect of other drugs. So if that happens based on your genetics, then we have to titrate the doses of medication so the side effects are decreased. The drugs may be absolutely perfect to take. Maybe it is maybe they have to be taken in a different dose. Maybe you're taking 5 medications causing a lot of side effects. Maybe taking away one of it away it may be very helpful in making the other 4 medications more effective, and changing the one that you took away with some other medication of a similar class. So a lot of different ways in which the body reacts with the drug, causing potential side effects and potential benefits.
It's a lot more than going to the pharmacist and asking for what is the drug interaction. It's a lot more extensive. Can you expand what is the EDR testing? Is it a generic, is a particular testing designed or general one test tells you everything, your pathways, and all those things automatically spit it out, or is it specifically designed particularly for that particular drug, or what is the concept of the EDR testing, Dr.
Yeah, so it's basically a molecular testing where they look at your genetics to see how do you, which uh, pathways are turned on, which are homozygous, which are heterozygous in your genetic makeup. Um, so you can some of the drugs, some of the pathways are determined by the number of genes that are in that pathway. For example, cytochrome oxidase pathways in your liver. Different people, um, different, I would say, ethnic origins have difference in cytochrome oxidase pathways. So that's extremely critical because that's how many of the medications are metabolized in the liver. So having some parts of that cycle upregulated just naturally by your genetics, some of them are downregulated by the genetics, are extremely helpful to understand how a drug uh, uh, dose may have to be altered, or to understand what kind of side effects one can expect based on your genetics.
So you're giving a 30,000 feet that EDR testing. It gives you a general description of the genetic makeup of your system, which drugs would fit in. I used to sell Plavix testing at the time, 2CVP, 2CVIP19. I think that genetic sequence, for particularly for Indians and Asians, we are prone to the more breeding problem we have. So that is one of the testing is very useful for the particularly Asian origin patients. So that is we used to sell. I used to sell that testing for the physicians at the physician offices. But now it is probably gone into the much more extensive into other drugs and other makeups. That what you're saying is an extension.
Absolutely. It's very similar concept, but the panel is increasing every day. We understand our own human body better every day, and we understand how the drugs are interacting with the body every day. And we also understand how the body is interacting with the drug better every day. So, ve- very nice time to um,
To be in that.
be part of medicine. And you talked about chat GPT. You know, a lot of this data analytics can be performed by chat GPT and help um, come up with a certain recommendation for a physician. I don't think you have looked into it yet, but GPT-4 has the capability of analyzing large amount of data sets to come up with very useful insights.
Interesting. So before we talk about the cancer, a lot of people take a lot of pain medications. Cancer patients, in that during the it is one of the challenging times because they're very sensitive to certain pain medications. You do the genetic. Is there any genetic testing available? Even non-cancer patients, is it something very sensitive? Pain medications are always is a
Of course,
challenge issue there.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely, there are panels available. Some individuals are highly sensitive to hydrocodone. Other people are resistant to it. So, if someone is taking higher dose and not getting um, uh, pain response, or a decrease in pain response, it's not their fault. It's their genetics. The physician have to be cognizant of this fact and either change them to a different class of medication, or just make sure that they understand that clinical scenario and up the dose if required.
I'm going to ask you a final wisdom question of wisdom. So the cancer is growing rapidly, even spreading across all ages of population now. It is becoming a big, as the advances are going on one side, but also cancer is spreading across uh, entire age spectrum. What do you think of this? How do we tackle this massive problem? And are we are capable, or we have enough resources to deal with the situation? I like to listen to your wisdom on that. That
So the incidence of cancer is definitely going up. across the world. The type of cancers we are seeing, the spectrum of cancers that we see is also um, pretty extensive. There are a variety of factors I would attribute this to. One of them is early diagnosis of cancer. We are having better diagnostic tools to diagnose cancer early. The second most important is we interact with more and more artificial uh, stuff around in the environment. The food we eat is extremely processed. It is mixed up with probable carcinogens. I'm not going to say that food we eat is carcinogenic. Um, Definitely, our ecosystem is getting polluted and contaminated every day. Our waters are getting polluted. There's mercury in the waters. There's mercury in the fish now. That could possibly cause some kind of heavy metal damage to our DNA, resulting in cancerous growths. Um, our air is getting polluted around the world. That can definitely have, we know that quality of air is important for lung health. Um, anytime lung is damaged and it tries to repair itself, one of the repairs process may go bad, resulting in cancer. So there is a whole slew of reasons why the incidence of cancer is expanding. And what is more concerning is that the cancer is occurring or being detected into wider age of humans than seen before, and that has to be attributable, to environmental factors, just not genetics.
Thank you. We need a wisdom for people like you, that we need a directors of the pathology. You are the directors of the care, the entire care spectrum. So we need a directors like you with the wisdom like you. And thank you. It's a truly an honor to talk with you, sir. Dr. Krish Tangella is a. So give me a couple of minutes about DOMED. What is the DOMED do? A little bit about the DOMED.
Thank you, Ramana, for asking about DovMed. Um, DovMed is a healthcare ecosystem that we have created that brings healthcare providers and patients together. We have a variety of different products for the physicians, and healthcare providers, such as clinics and hospitals. And we also have a tremendous amount of resources for patients. It's a very fast growing platform. Check out dovmed.com. We have uh, uh, patient forums for chronic conditions called My Circles. We have a variety of forums called Dove Communities, where individuals across the country can discuss healthcare within their community. We have Dove Hubs, which are exclusively for physicians, where they can talk about uh, uh, advances in science and healthcare in their specialty. We have hubs based on different specialties across medicine. We have a very robust platform called Ask a Doctor. Please ask a question on Ask a Doctor. One of our healthcare providers will answer them. The answers we usually answer are general healthcare information. We do not give you specific healthcare answers to your needs. You always have to talk to your doctor about it. We're excited to bring in a telemedicine platform and a clinical trial platform onto DovMed. We have over 1.4 million physicians profiles, and which a physician can claim and have tools to brand their practice, gain patients. We have over 40,000 pieces of medical content, quizzes, slideshows, articles, videos. It's very, very rich in medical content, and very excited to be part of this project. And we have a fantastic team of hardworking team members who are very, very passionate, more passionate than me, to bring healthcare to consumers, and so healthcares can have a better quality of life.
Thank you, sir. Truly an honor again. The DOMED, Dr. Krish Tangella, DOMED.com, that Krish Tangella, Professor of Pathology. I'm going to talk about now Thank you, sir. Thank you for
Thank you very
joining.
much. I
I'm going to
appreciate. Thanks
talk.
for having me. Okay. Have a
When you
nice
get a
evening.
chance to watch other program, I'm going to talk about the the Chat GPT now. Yes. So evil in the computer code as something related to Chat GPT. I'm going to explain to you guys. So let me give you a little bit my background. Thank you, sir. So So evil in the computer, I want to do Cut-Godal incompleteness theorem. It says evil in there's a two versions. I'm going to talk about it. Evil in the computer code 1. That's evil in the second part is the another evil in the computer code 2. That's the two versions of the evils. I'm going to talk about it. So please bear with me. So I tell you, so there is a tweet went on, self-contradictory tweet. It's a very interesting tweet. It's a flat Earth society has members all around the globe. It looks idiotic. The flat Earth society, the believers who believe in flat Earth society, they think the Earth is Earth is a globe, is a round. So they're self-contradictory. It is stupid and looks idiotic. But self-contradiction itself is a very powerful. You have to be very careful. For example, I'm going to give you next level of self-contradiction is the oxymoron kind of thing. I am a liar if I say that am I telling the truth? Am I telling the lie? You don't know. We cannot that statement cannot be tested. I am a liar statement cannot be tested. It cannot be proven because I'm a, when I'm saying I'm a liar, I may be lying. I'm telling the truth. I don't know. You don't know. That's a loop problem. You're in a loop. So that is a self contradictory statements. Another statement. This statement is false. That's another kind of statement that is a positive. That's a self contradictory. So the another self-contradictory statement, I'm not capable of making mistakes. So this is kind of a these kind of sentences create us a lot of self-contradiction. But just we ignore it. But actually, if you go into the mathematics, into going to the physics and the computer science, this plays a very important role. This self-contradiction. It creates a huge headaches and obstacles for the computer science, physics, and economics. Even economics, it is a huge problem. This self-contradictory rules. So there is a master of self-contradiction. His name is Kurt Gödel. Is an Austrian physicist and Austrian mathematician. He took self-contradictory to the next level. He put the heart of the mathematics. We thought mathematics is the foundations of all the sciences. They're all strong. There is no loopholes in the mathematics. But he is the one who put a dagger through the heart of the mathematics. He killed it. He said that it is not as foundation as strong as you think. That's what he did. So they call him yes, he's a kind of a guy. He was in United States. His contradiction he took to the next level. He went to the Congress halls, United States Congress halls. He said that in 1951 he gave a testimony in the Congress. He said that U.S. Constitution has some self-contradiction. What that means, even democratically, it can become a dictatorship. People at the time laughed at it. So people who went through the last few years may not be laughing as much as that at that time. But it is a possible. U.S. Constitution is actually allowed democratically possible to become a dictatorship. It's not exactly there's some kind of a checks and balances with the three branches of government, but it is a possible that he said that through the logical process. He is the kind of a logician. So his name is Kurt Gödel. He is an Austrian physicist. He's a buzzkiller. Mathematicians call him buzzkiller because they were all thinking mathematics is the end of the road. That is the best foundations of all the sciences. But that gave a little bit of a self-contradictory rules that can kill the mathematics. It goes through the heart of the mathematics. It put punches in the holes in the mathematical framework. He was born in Austria, 1906, and he died in 1978 in Princeton. He was a party. They call him party pooper, devil. Is like a bad news for people who are thinking that mathematicians and scientists is a buzzkiller. so
So he was a friend of Albert Einstein. He is a he was Albert Einstein invited him to the Princeton to offered him a staff position to teach mathematics there. So he came down there to Princeton. So they used to do everyday walk in the evening times. They go for walks. There is a book actually what they discussed in the walks during the walks between the Albert Einstein and Kurt Gödel. Kurt Gödel is so smart, he created a lot of suspicions even to the Einstein. Einstein is a mentally strong guy. He was kind of when he went home, he said that I'm confused about my theories now. I'm not sure they're right or wrong. He was that confused by Kurt Gödel. Then he gave a nightmares. For example, one of the things is that grandfather's paradox. Grandfather paradox is that in the time travel, that's the theory of relativity, the time travel, it says that if you're born, if you're born, you go back in time, kill your grandfather, then you cannot exist. So how does it, that paradox is a big problem in physics. So how can you solve this problem? Grandfather paradox. So he Einstein was not kind of reluctant to that he says that it's quite impossible, even though his equations allow to go in the past. He says that it's impossible to go to the past. You can go into the future. We do that now. Actually, that's not a problem. Not a human beings, but the particles go in the future. But 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 going to the past is a little bit problematic. But he said that the Kurt Gödel came up with a theory that if you have a rotating universe, a particular system of universe with the dust particles rotating universe, you can go to the time travel, go to the past and kill your grandfather. So it gave a nightmares to Albert Einstein. He proposed a Kurt Gödel incompleteness theorem. It's called a very famous theorem. It's a Kurt Gödel incompleteness theorem. I am lying is a statement that this statement is impossible to prove. So what he did was he created two theorems, actually came up with two different times. One is there are some things that are true but cannot prove using a set of rules or axioms. That means if it's, for example, 1 plus 0 equal to 1, we believe it is a fact. So it's a belief system. You cannot prove. Even 1 plus 0 equal to 1 the proof goes for 400 pages, believe me or not. So it is not easy to prove. Some of them we take it as a facts. We cannot prove them. Their belief system, that 1 plus 0 in mathematics, there is a belief system there. As 1 plus 0 equal to 1. So the axioms are kind of a belief systems. Then later on, he came back with the theorem number 2. If we start with a set of rules or axioms for reasoning, it is impossible to prove that these rules or axioms are consistent and do not lead to any contradictions. Looks big, but we experience every day, that we start with the good intentions, provide care for everyone, but no one can afford it. That's kind of a contradictory, right? So we want to provide care for everyone, but no one can afford it. That's kind of a theorem number 2 is a similar analogy. I can give a best analogy of the theorem number 2. So he came this, if you build the mathematical structure on that one, so it creates a bigger problem. That's called a computer halting problem. It is designed based on the Kurt Gödel incompleteness theorem. Is called a computer halting problem. It is a problem is discovered by Alan Turing, a British mathematician. So he said that you cannot design a computer program that tests the other program decidability. That means you take a program 1, you cannot write a program to test the program number 2, whether it runs forever or is going to stop, crash someplace. You cannot, that is impossible to do that. That's what he said, that there is no way, based on an incompleteness theorem, is saying that it creates inconsistencies that program 1 cannot test the program 2 decidability. It's a big problem, an halting problem. That is a part of the design system. So incompleteness theorem halting problem is unpredictable. Your cost and the time of the software estimating of the software development costs, or you can always, as we know, everybody, all the business people know, the cost of twice the cost and 4 times the time it takes a software development, any project. So this is a bigger example that one of the things they can blame on the Kat-Godal incompleteness theorem. That his theorem is unpredictable, those kind of things, but not all the times they blame. They can blame on this evil in the computer code. That's the halting theorem. Is Alan Turing designed that. So, but it's also in economics. It shows up actually. Kat-Godal incompleteness theorem. It's called Kenneth Arrow. Kenneth Arrow is a mathematician and economist. Is a Nobel Prize winner from University of Chicago. Where is Dr. Krishna Tangella from? University of Chicago produces brilliant minds. I tell you, you can see that through Dr. Krish Tangella, right? So he is from University of Chicago. He was a professor there, and then he moved to Stanford. That he went through. Then what he did was he found out through he came up with he used the Kat-Godal incompleteness theorem and came up with a new theorem called Arrow's impossibility theorem. That he says that no, there's a social. He created a social choice theory. That's called. I don't know much about it, to be honest with you. I'm not a social scientist, but I will try to interview one of these days one of the social scientists. But no perfect voting system is possible. He said that it's not possible. Kat-Godal completeness theorem, mathematically not possible that you can come up with a perfect voting system, perfect democracy. So they also same thing is social welfare system. You cannot come back with a perfect social welfare system. It is a case by case perfect. You need to go do step by step. There is no a social function you can create and applies everything. It is impossible to apply a general system to these kind of things. So Kenneth Arrow is economist, and he just recently died. He was born in 1921 and died in 2017. So that is now Dr. Krish Tangella is talking about Chat GPT. So one of the Alan Turing tests was how do you distinguish between computer and a human? The day you cannot distinguish, that's the call. This computer guys just glorify things, a lot of things. Singularity is like a black hole. We in the physicists we think the singularity is at where the end of the black hole. So, but here they call singularity is where the computers, and you cannot distinguish between the computers and the humans. So the test is you sit down in a room and you ask questions. The answers you cannot tell which one is a computer, which one is a human. That is you can easily then the day they cannot tell the distinguished system. Then that is a singularity testing. That's what they say. But I tell you, right now, ChatGPT, I found out so many flaws. It has a lot of. It didn't know I'm not sure. It has it does a good job in certain areas. I use it. I love it in certain areas, but you have to verify because it gave me a lot of wrong facts. In fact, the wrong rules, wrong facts. So got to be careful. You got to be. It's not there yet. Even there, I'm not sure it is mathematically possible that the singularity can reach the singularity part of it. It can. So I tell you why. So for example, ChatGPT's biggest problem is the self-contradiction. If you have layers of self-contradiction, multiple layers of self-contradiction is a problem. So, for example, a computer programmer can pray a venomous snake in the morning, a cobra, a snake god, and go and write in the afternoon. You can write an incredible code that is based on perfect logic and reasoning. But they are completely diametrically opposite ideas. One is dangerous and poisonous. It doesn't make any sense. It's a blind faith. Other one is a pure logic. But the humans can take and they coexist with that. If you have multiple complexities exist like that, self-contradiction, layer after layer, ChatGPT survival is very tough in that situations. It has to prove that complexities of the self-contradictions it can navigate through contradiction. That is what the Sir Roger Penrose, the Oxford mathematician, is saying, that it is impossible a computer can emulate the human being because consciousness is not computable. Consciousness is not when it is not computable, the computer cannot. So humans have a consciousness. If they have a consciousness, it's not a computable. So if it is not a computable, computers cannot do anything about it. But there is another problem I have to tell you. I don't know, I made some mistakes here. Okay, sorry about that. That the previous thing came in. So evil in the computer code, there is another evil is the entropy. Entropy is the order to disorder. There's a second problem in the computer code. It is a problem. It is a it's lurking behind this computer code. That's called a entropy. The software entropy. Entropy is order to disorder. So evil in the computer code is your software entropy is basically craft that you have a technical debt goes up. More you put the versions, for example, you keep on adding a version 1, version 2, version 3, that you are developing the system and throwing these versions. What it says that the physics of the system says that your technical debt is going up, your entropy is going up, means your control entropy means disorderliness going up. So you need more resources, more things. It is impossible. The more versions you put, the technical debt keeps going up. It never goes down. Entropy keeps going up. It never decreases. That's called technical debt is always going up. So more versions you put together, more. So one of the ways to solve this problem is reversibility. That's why if you see when they give Microsoft gives you Windows 11, Windows 10, they say with a one click you can go back. It tells you what it takes, what are the resources it takes to go to the original version. That as executives, as a CEO of hospital or anything, you should ask the software development team what it takes, what are the resources it takes to go to my original version. How much time and how much money it takes. You got to be very careful about that. Otherwise, you end up in a mess. That remember that when Obama Care came up with the healthcare.gov, and it was a mess in the beginning for 1 year. So that kind of things can happen in the entropy side of this one. So when you're throwing the versions, you're throwing the entropy is going up. But reverse the process. You need to think about how do you reverse. If you are a CEO of an hospital, you need to ask that what are the things, what it takes to go to the original version or previous version at least. That's a reversing the process. Keep checking that you will be much more less damaged than before. So you'll be better off in that way. So software entropy, lessons from entropy: keep it simple, less results. Don't throw updates like pancakes. Follow agile methodology. Resources it takes back to the version number 1.0. Lower entropy is the lower cost. That is the physics of the entropy, telling you about the software of these things. Okay. Now, so the men don't understand women. Women don't understand men, we all know. But I can tell you from the Godal's incompleteness theorem, it says that computers never understand man or woman. It is a mathematical restriction on the computer Godal's incompleteness theorem. There's a mathematical restriction on the computers that they cannot match the human mind in that sense. Thank you for watching. I'm going to play, because I have time, I'm going to play. Thank you, Dr. Tangella, to be part of this today. In the last minute, he came out. The Indra Nagi, the previous guest speaker, is supposed to be there, and he had an emergency. He could not able to make it. Sorry about that. So he will be appearing in the future. But so I wanted to talk with you about so humans are very different than as you know, humans are extremely different than I'm going to humans are complex. Human mind is complex. It is a brain. Still we are understanding. We have trillion connections, billions of neurons. It is one of the wonders of on the nature, our brain system. So the beginning of that we have a music, we have a culture. So I'm going to take you back all the way to the beginning of the civilization, where the Lucy, first woman, was born, and the music and the sounds came from there. I'm going to play that one. Good night, all of you. You can enjoy that music and watch that from Ethiopia, Ethiopian music.
Oh,